Hello people, this is Code Grind, and in today's video we'll be creating a navigation menu using CSS3 and JavaScript. So here in the top right corner I have a menu button, and when I click on it the navigation menu appears from the two sides of the windows, and when I click on it again it collapses, it just splits into the two sides and they just disappear in the two sides of the window. So this is what we'll be creating in today's video. Now let's get straight into it. So here I've got this basic HTML layout ready. I have linked an external CSS file in which we'll be doing all the styling part, and I also have a link for the Font Awesome website from where we'll be using the menu button icon, the icon with the 3 bars. Now let's get started with our HTML part. So first we'll have a div with the class of container. Now inside here the first thing which will include are the covers. Those are the two sides of the navigation menu. So we'll have a div with the class covers, and inside here two different covers, one with the class cover 1 and the cover 2. So this will be our left cover and this will be our right cover. Now this is it for this. Now we'll have our content. So this will just be a basic heading like navigation menu, like a break using CSS3 and JavaScript. Yeah, so we have got this content over here. Now we'll have our menu button. So menu button, wrong spelling. So inside the div class menu button we'll have an icon from Font Awesome. So here I am using emit abbreviations. These are actually short syntaxes for HTML. If you want to learn all about them, I'll give a link in the description of the Code Grind crash course on emit abbreviations. You can also click on the link above to view the video. So the icon name is bars from Font Awesome. Let's hit save, and in here we have got this bars icon which we'll be using for the menu button. Now we'll have our menu items. Inside the div with the class of menu items we'll have an unordered list. So have li's. Actually we need 4 of them, so li into 4. The first one can be home, then profile, then we can have newsfeed, and at last settings. So these are all for our HTML part. Now let's get into styling. So let's start our styling part by nullifying the browser's default settings. That will be margin 0, padding 0, box sizing of border box, and at last we'll be using a font family of poppins. If you want to use the same font for your web pages, then I'll give a link in the description from where you can download this font and install it in your systems. Now I want all of this text at the exact center of our page. So for that we'll select the body, give it a display of flex, and then a justify content of center, min height of 100 vh, and at last align items of center. So by writing these 4 lines of code you can align anything to the center of your page. Now by default we want the background color to be something like crimson. You can choose any color which you want. The color should be white. This is it for the body tag. Now let's select our covers. That will be cover 1 and the cover 2. We'll give them a position of fixed because we don't want their positions to be changed. Now we want them to cover our entire window, so a height of 100 vh and then a width of 100 vw. Oh, not 100 vw. We want each cover to cover half of our window, so we'll give each of them a width of 50 vw. Now let's give it a background color so that we can see what's going on. The color which I'll be using is dark cyan. So here we have got both of our covers. Now we want them to be sticking to the exact top, so for that we'll give them a top of 0. Yeah, this is it for the covers. Now we'll select our cover 1. We'll select both the covers separately. Now the first cover should be sticking to the left of the window, so for that left of 0, and then the cover 2 should be sticking to the right of the window, so to that we'll give a right of 0. So now it has covered our entire window. Now by default we don't want them to be visible, so to this one we'll give a left of -50 VW, and to this right of -50 VW. So they both are now outside our window. So this is it for designing the covers. Now one last thing which I missed out is we need to give them a transition, like a transition of, let's say, no transition delay, a transition of 0.5 seconds all ease, because when they slide into the window they should look smooth, the transition should look smooth. Now let's design our menu button. So menu button, we will select the I tag. We also give it a position of fixed, then it should be somewhere here, so a top of 1 m and a right of 1 m. So here we have got it over the top right corner of our window. Now let's also give it a background color of crimson and a padding of 20 pixels. Now we don't see any changes right now, so for viewing the changes let's give it a border of 1 pixel solid white. Just for now, we'll remove it afterwards. Now we want it to look round, so a border radius of 50%. Yeah, this is good. Then we'll increase its font size by 1.5 m. Then right now when I hover over it, we just see this arrow cursor which doesn't make it look clickable. So for it to look clickable, we'll give it a cursor of pointer. So we have got this cursor pointer as well. Now what we want is we want to give it a neumorphism effect. Now if you want to learn what neumorphism is, I have separate playlist for teaching what neumorphism is. I'll give a link in the description, and you can also click on the link above to learn all about neumorphism. Now for now, what I want in neumorphism basically works with box shadows and linear gradients. So for now let's just remove this border white. Now there's a website, this neumorphism.io. In here you can go and select any color which you want. So right now, since we are working with crimson, the hex code of crimson is DC143C. I just put it in here. I put the size and the radius of whatever I was working with, and it generated a code for me. Let me zoom it in. uh, so right here we have got this code which will give us this neumorphism effect. Now there are four types of selections over here. This first one is just the flat selection. This one is a concave, so this will make the button look like a concave object. Then this is the convex object, and this when I select this one, it will look like the button is pressed. So we will be selecting the convex version of this button. Now let's just copy these properties and paste it over here. Remove this background color, hit save, and here we have got this button which is looking concave, and we have got this box shadows. So this is how you can use this website to generate codes for giving more neumorphism effect to different elements of your web page. I'll give a link to this website down in the description box. So this is it for the menu button. Now let's design our heading. So content dot heading will increase its font 2 m and text align of center. Yeah, this is it for the navigation menu. Now let's design our the menu items. So menu items, we'll select the UL and give it a position of fixed as well, a top of 0, and right now if you see we have got it over here. So let's first remove the style type. So this style type of none. So we want this to be exact center of the page. So for that we'll give it a left of 50%. Now this by giving the left of 50%, it just doesn't put it to the exact center of the page. So for aligning it to the exact center, what we need to do is give it a transform, translate x of -50%, and now it is at the exact center. And then we need to give it a text align of center as well. Now this looks better. Then a display of flex justify no the just not justify flex direction of column. Then justify content of space around. Now right now we don't see any changes because its height is limited to this part only. So if I give it a border, you will be able to see what I'm talking about. So right now its height is limited to this much only, so by giving it a justify content of space around, we don't see any changes. But if I give it a min height of 100 vh and hit save now, then we can see the changes that its height got increased to 100 vh and now the justify content of space around is working. Let's remove this border. So this is how we want our menu to look like. By default its opacity should be 0, but just giving it an opacity of 0 won't work, because when I hover over it, you can see we get this text cursor over here. In the second item as well we get this text cursor. So for every item we'll get this text cursor, and this just won't make any sense. So we need to give it a pointer events of none. And now when I hover, we don't get the cursor. So this is it for designing the this menu items. Now let's select our, actually this is it for the styling. Now let's get into JavaScript. So in the JavaScript part, we will select every element of our page. At the end of the body, define the script tag. Then first we'll select our menu button by the document.query selector dot menu button. This will select it, and then we'll select both of our covers. So the cover one, document.query selector dot cover one, and then the cover 2. So this changes to 2. Yeah, now we'll select our menu items. So the menu items div, actually we'll give it a document.query selector of menu items. So this is it for the selection part. Now whenever I click on this menu button, we want everything to appear on the screen. So now what I will do is menu items dot add event listener click. So whenever the user clicks on this menu button, we'll run an arrow function, and inside here what we will do is we will select our covers and we'll toggle a class list of toggle a class of slide. Now why are we doing this and what this will do? Let us go to the inspect element, and now here in the elements, let me zoom it in. Now here you see there are two covers. When I click on this menu button, we have given the cover one a classless toggle of slide. So when I click on it, nothing happens. Why so? There must be some mistake. Oh, this should not be menu items. This should be menu button over here. Now when I click on this menu button, here as our cover, the slide class gets added, and when I click on it again, the slide class gets removed. So this is what the functionality of the toggle class list function. If the class is already present, then it will remove it, and if it is not present, then it will add the class. So why are we doing this? Because in here in this part, when the slide class is added to the cover, we want the left to be 0. Now when I hit save, let's click on this menu button. So on clicking, the slide class gets added and this left of 0 property is applied, and it appears from the left of the window to cover up half of the window. We will do the same with the cover 2. Let's copy this and paste it over here, and cover2.classlist.toggle slide, and here we will also define it for cover 2. So cover2.slide. Now instead of giving it a left of 0, we will give it a right of 0. Now this whole appearing from the left and right side of the window is working fine, but if I just, you can notice that the menu button still has this crimson color and crimson box shadow, which doesn't look good at all. It's looking very ugly. So we need to change this box shadow and background color of the menu button as well to the background of this cover, which is dark cyan. We want the hex shade of it. So here I've got this color picker. It is a Google Chrome extension. I'll give a link in the description from where you can add this extension to your Google Chrome window. Now here when I select, we get this color which is hash 008b8b. Let's copy it and go to the neumorphism.ui website and paste it over here. So we get this, we get these properties now for our menu button. We'll just copy it and now go here in the JavaScript part, and what we'll do is on the clicking event we'll also toggle a class of slide to the menu button. So menu button dot classes dot toggle slide, and in the styling part here is our menu button. So menu button I dot slide. Oh, actually in the JavaScript part what I did wrong is we need to select the I tag, the icon tag. So let's hit save now, and now this class list, the toggle slide will not be added to this menu button div, it will be added to this I tag, which is the icon tag. So in here menu button, when the I tag has the class slide, we'll just paste those properties which we got from the website, hit save. We also need to give it a transition to make the transitions look smooth, 0.5 seconds, which is similar to the transition of the covers. And now when I click on it, the box shadow is changed for the menu button as well. So now it looks good, it matches with our background. Now we want the UL to appear as well. So in here what we'll do is menu items dot slide. So when the menu items has the class slides, we will select our UL and give it an opacity of 1 and a pointer events of all, and here we need to give it a transition. So the transition which we'll give is of 0.5 seconds as well. Actually let's make it a bit larger, so make it 0.7 seconds. Now in here we also need to copy this to the menu items. So let's change it to menu items, hit save, and now when I click on it, our menu list, the menu items get appeared. They appear from nowhere. The covers appear from the left and right sides of the window, and when I click on it again, they all disappear. So this is how you can create a navigation menu using CSS3 and JavaScript. The JavaScript part is very minimum on this navigation menu. It is just the game of how you can use CSS3, and this is it. So if you like the video, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such amazing tutorials on CSS and JavaScript, and thank you for watching.